Ukraine as a distraction.
Yeah.
And I really would like to just for a minute or so, maybe I can
yes.
even pull that out and put it as a 3-minute clip somewhere separate.
Yeah.
Just like I'm not too much into history, but from what I get, we had 2 areas in Ukraine that are inhabited mostly by Russians, language and origin. And they went through the process to declare independence according to international law. Russia was so careful and laid back to not recognize them immediately. Although, according to international law, the entire world would have been obliged to recognize them because it was the will of the people, and they went through the process and they declared independence. This is normal international law. Every people have the right to declare for themselves to what country they want to belong. It's been done multiple times. There were referendums about parts of Germany, whether they want to belong to France or to Germany. And this has a legal procedure. And it was done in Crimea, it was done in Donetsk and Lugansk, following the international laws for splitting a region of a country. And Russia didn't take them back home immediately. They left them as independent regions. And over 8 years, Ukraine was bombarding them, shelling them, killing tens of thousands of people, just because they could and they wanted, and they did not recognize what, according to international law, was absolutely legal and righteous. This is history if a neutral person would look at what's happening. Yeah. The only thing the Western media is doing out of it, they call them separatists, as if that would be a crime. If a part of a country wants to split off, it's their legal right to separate themselves from the country. Then we did have a CIA-run takeover of the Ukrainian government.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Installing a puppet dictatorship that is not even right-wing, that is straightforward fascist. Nobody complained about that in the West. It was like the people's revolution. What a big joke. There was no people's revolution. There was just an act of hostility from Western intelligence to install a fascist puppet dictatorship in Ukraine that then started manslaughter in the independent republics. And Russia has been looking at that for 8 years, keeping calm, till Ukraine brought in with a fascist puppet dictatorship the option that it would like to nuclearly arm itself, bringing in NATO troops to the border of Russia. Yeah. So just turn it around, Imagine Russia going to Cuba, overthrowing the government, installing some Russian puppets in Cuba, starting to get Russian troops into the country, including rockets and facilities that could be turned within 10 minutes into mid-range nuclear attack weapons. Do you think the United States would take that? Do you think they would just sit there for 8 years and watch the Russians take over Cuba? And then imagine there would be an enclave with, let's say, Guantanamo area with 10,000 state employees living on Cuba. And the puppet government would start shelling this area, killing how many? 34,000 citizens or American-based people just in front of. Do you think the American troops would stay out of that country and let it happen? This is kind of, just mirror things to get a halfway realistic emotion to what people are doing. And if you look into the media, everything is completely upside down. They're calling Putin a Hitler, a fascist. Look at the uniforms of the people fighting in Ukraine. They have the SS runes on their vehicles and uniforms. They are openly fascists. not even covert, openly. They do manslaughter at Russians because they are Russians. They have the media saying the problem is only solved if all the Russians are dead or expelled. It's not happening in the hidden, it's happening in the open. And the Western media is just covering a sheet of nothingness on that problem, claiming as if the Ukrainian peoples are like heroes fighting for their freedom. Bullshit. And this is all kind of as a pretext to force Russia into a nuclear war with the West that it never wanted. This is all just a pretext to force the Europeans to drop Nord Stream 2, importing gas from Russia, just to force them to buy fucking fracking gas from the US that costs triple and is destroying nature in an endless madness. While America itself is still importing oil from Russia. I think they even doubled the amount now, you know? Can you please wake up and realize that you're run by mad babies who completely lost themselves in their own madness, manifesting a dream of destruction and self-destruction that can take down the entire planet, and just fucking remove them from where they sit, put them into the madhouses they belong into? I mean, in Germany, it would even be easy. Yeah. Our foreign minister, she's not even capable of talking language. She's putting into every sentence she says at least 2 spelling mistakes, mixing up the letters. You know, this is like find somebody who's so schizophrenic, paranoid, mad, that the only wish he has is to stand in an exposed position, to be someone important, to not drown in his own shame. You know, these are, sometimes I think it's even on purpose in Germany, you know, because it's like the red sheet for the bull. For the bull. Yeah, and let's put up some politicians that are so off that people can direct their anger against them, and just in case you lose the tiny little battle, at least someone is slaughtered that is not your main team player, just some random idiots that were stupid enough to take the role just to be someone.